Hey everybody, it's Amy Gretchen. Big welcome back. So in this video, I'm working on another Project Life Process video. This is the year 2022 and it is week 10. So it is sometime in March, I think, maybe mid-March or something like that. And for this week, I'm going to be using a scrapbook kit. This is from Allie Edwards. She has a scrapbook kit that comes out 4 times a year. I think the one before this was rainbow and this one is black and white. And I was a little hesitant to use it for Project Life just because I don't necessarily love to use black and white photos. And I was like, is this gonna look okay if I've got colored photos and then I'm just like everything I'm using, like all the embellishments I'm using is black and white? And I decided to give it a try. I really liked these word plastic phrases. I don't know how else to call them. Before I started this layout, I really started looking at these words because you can see that there's an opposite to each, a high and a low, a pro and a con, a before and after. And I really love the idea of telling the story of this week from the point of view of these opposites. So I was actually just going to do one per each card. So like you see how I've got a high and then a low, and then I ended up putting a pro and con together. And I was like, oh, I kind of like that, to be able to tell two parts to the same story. So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up going through and making my own cards with some of those words, and you'll obviously see me work on that. But I really loved how that worked out, and it didn't bother me at all that all the embellishments were black and white and the photos had color. I thought it actually worked really well together. And I did end up bringing in some color, and you'll see that also there was a couple embellishments that I brought in. So if you saw at the beginning, there was some letters, and the letters spelt this and that. And then of course we have these words, and then we had the paper, and then we had those paper flowers. So I don't know if you can tell, but those are actually paper flowers, and they came in all different sizes. And I thought that they would work really well as, kind of embellishments. I kind of wish I had popped them up, but I didn't end up doing that. I think if I was doing this all over again, I probably would end up popping those up. But I told you I was going to bring in some color. And you can see those hearts, the one that says currently, and then the one that has love on there. I actually made those using the July Stories by the Month kit. So those hearts were included. Those are wood hearts. And then the stamps that are stamped onto it were included in the kit also. And then I just used some embossing powder, some white embossing powder, and I created that. So I actually will have a reel on my Instagram, so you can definitely see how I made those. I actually really love how they turned out. I thought it worked really great to have that pop of color with all the black and white. One of the other things that I really loved, well, I shouldn't say just from this kit, but all of the scrapbook kits that she comes out with, is that she's got paper. I think that's one of the things that I miss with the kits, is having pattern paper, because while I love having the cards, sometimes it's nice to be able to have that pattern paper so you can cut it down to the exact size and use it the way you like it. So I loved having that ability here, and I love that there was a variety of patterns that I could use for this layout. So you can see what I've been doing is just organizing everything, organizing the photos, figuring out where I want the cards. And I definitely want to split up those cards, making sure there's not one next to one another or on top of one another, just because they're very bold. I wanted to really make sure to split those up. And it also really does help lead the viewer through the spread when they're split up like that. And what you're seeing me do right now, what I'm doing right now is taking off the plastic that's on top to kind of protect the design. So make sure to do that with any of these plastic pieces. They kind of look a little muted, and once you take it off, you can really see that black and white. So definitely make sure to do that. I think that that's something that can be easily skipped because I don't think we realize that it's on there. So right now I'm just trying to figure out, like I said, where I want everything to go. I really liked the and. Honestly, it doesn't really have anything to do with the layout per se, but I wanted something that was a little bit more design. And also the A, I was thinking, you know, what else could I put there? I was thinking I could do another journaling card, but you know what? A for Amy, I liked it, right? And I don't think everything that you put into the spread actually has to make sense to the stories, right? I think a lot of times to kind of get a good feel, it's nice to have photos mixed in with the journaling cards, mixed in with the design cards. I think you really need those design cards to break up all the words and to break up all the photos. So it's kind of nice to have those moments of rest where it's not maybe too busy. And I feel like that's what the and the A does for me, even though I guess you could say maybe the pattern is a little bit busier, but I think you need those moments of rest. So I liked the way we've got several photos, several journaling cards, and then several design cards. All right, so moving on to what I'm doing right now, which is just adhering everything down. So I felt the best way to adhere those plastic pieces, especially because they were see-through, at least the letters, was to use a stapler. I just used the small Tim Holtz tiny attacher, and I use that also with the fabric and A, just because I think it's really hard for those to stick down with regular adhesive. And then I just use regular adhesive for the flowers. I was thinking about doing the staple as well, and I'm not sure if I wasn't 100% sold on the flowers, and that's why I didn't actually staple them down, but for whatever reason I decided to use adhesive for those. And like I said at the beginning, I kind of wish I had popped them up. I think I would have liked that a little bit more, but it is what it is, right? It's one of those things that you're like, it's done. I don't need to go back and finish it or change it in any way. So, and I'm also just adhering the wood pieces down as well. And then you saw that I put the 3x4 cards together that are in the 4x6 pockets. I do that a lot just so they don't, I mean, if you don't adhere them together, I feel like they are falling all over the place, and it just secures them in. And then I also added the stars. So that's another thing that was in this kit, was the metallic stars. I think it also had some white, some black. And I really just loved that, you know, pop of color, that it almost looks yellow, kind of like that yellow heart. And I think it also helps to ground those words a little bit, even though I feel like the staple does that as well. It just adds a little bit more interest to the spread, and I really like the look of it. So the last thing that I'm going to do is finish the title card, and I'm going to do that just by stamping off onto a separate piece of paper and cutting that out and then taping that right onto the heart. Really loved how the paper is coming off of the heart. I thought that that was a really great look. I was super happy that those hearts, the love one and the currently one, were just sitting off to the side on my desk, because I saw them and thought that they would make a great addition to this spread, and they definitely do. So I do also want you to be aware that I know that I stamped the wrong year. It's actually 2022. So I need to go in and fix that with the pen, but that will be super easy to do. So no worries there. Anyway, you guys, I am done with this layout. I was looking, trying to decide if there's anything more that I want to do, but really love how this one turned out. I thought this was a fun kit to work with, especially it being a scrapbook kit that we traditionally think of a layout. I think it's fun to use those in your project life. So hopefully those of you who have this kit are enjoying it. I don't know if you can share a link down below, but if you create something with it, I would love to see what you guys do. Anyway, thank you so much for being here, and you guys, we will see you in the next one. Bye.